All right, everyone, we have some disclosure incoming. Yes, Donald Trump has signed an executive order ordering the release of the JFK files, the RFK files, and the Martin Luther King files, among other things. Personally, I would include the Marilyn Monroe files in there as well, specifically targeting the CIA. I have a feeling that she was assassinated probably because of her connection with JFK and RFK, but we're not 100% sure. JFK was assassinated in part by the US government. This is my hypothesis. I think that Lee Harvey Oswald was being literal when he said he was a patsy, right before he got killed by Rubin there. I think that that's true. RFK was killed under similar circumstances, very, very strange circumstances. RFK Jr. has weighed in on this, actually, and talked about the fact that he didn't believe that Saran necessarily was the actual assassin. I'm amenable to this fact. Martin Luther King Jr., meanwhile, was assassinated by the US government. The family won a civil lawsuit against it for a reason, and the rest is history. This entire period of US history was fraught with insanity. And so to release these files finally, after decades and decades, I think is very, very positive. But here's the problem. Number one, the documents have probably been sanitized over time. Number two, a lot of it's just going to be boring legalese. People won't even be able to sort through it because there's like 2,400 pages of material apparently set to be released. Number three, the record is incomplete in general anyway, just by design, because that's the way that government agencies work. So while I appreciate it, and I do celebrate the fact that Donald Trump is having these files released, or at least attempting to have them released, we'll see if a court randomly decides to adjudicate that he's not allowed to he's not allowed to declass them and release them to the public. Probably they will. While I appreciate it, and I think it's a good thing, I don't think that you can really genuinely expect that there's going to be any real significance to it. I don't think that you're going to get a Gulf of Tonkin revelation moment or a 1984 Pentagon report about Israeli nuclear fission report sort of moment. I think what you're going to get is random speculation with regards to these individuals. And with Martin Luther King, you're probably going to get something a bit more beefy. Because we know that the government had him killed. We're aware of this fact. This is canonical. We know that the government assassinated him. Under what regards he was assassinated, that's probably what you get. That's probably the biggest thing that's going to be in this batch release. With JFK, it's going to look very speculative. Same with RFK, etc. Unless you can get RFK Jr. and Elon Musk and a few others to look through the reports. But as we've seen, anytime they attempt to access government reporting, even if they are literally within the Bureau itself, they are cock-blocked from doing so by activistic judges. For example, apparently the U.S. Treasury Secretary is not currently allowed to look at documents from the U.S. Treasury. This makes absolutely no sense. And there are people out there who are applauding this. So, oh, the courts are protecting us from evil Orange Man. No, the courts are preventing you from knowing what the hell has gone on for the last, well, half century or more. This is not something that you need to be applauding. You are stupid. There's no other way to put it. I think RFK Jr., basically when he endorsed Donald Trump, begged him to release these documents. You're going to get some meat on those bones. I have no doubt about that. I just wish that they would dig further. Dig into the CIA files on Marilyn Monroe, for example. How about Burl Ives? They tried to claim that he was a communist and then he had to flip on other people in order to keep his career. Yes, Burl Ives. Yes, that one. The voice of every other Americana Christmas story from the 1960s and 70s. Very, very interesting times people were living in at the time. By the way, this is still happening. They're still constantly building dossiers on people. They declare the guilty to be innocent and the innocent to be guilty. That's why Epstein didn't kill himself, for example. I think that he was taken out for a reason. JFK was assassinated in part by the U.S. government. My theory is that after the Cuban Missile Crisis, this is just a theory, keep in mind that the upper brass and the other political elites, they were in the know. And so they didn't really believe in the United States. They believed in a multipolar world. They were globalists. And so they talked to the commies, basically over in the Soviet Union, said, oh shit, we have a problem. He was actually willing to press the button. We're really sorry about that. And the commies said, that's fine, but, we need to deal with this situation. That's why they waved off his, defensive attaché on that fateful day in Dallas. And Kubrick's involved, by the way, too. But we'll get beyond that. And so there were no agents riding the fins, so to speak, that would have cock-blocked the shot. And so the shot was taken, and the rest is history. I have a feeling that Lyndon Baines Johnson was involved. There's a reason why he felt very guilty. At the end of his presidency, sort of wandered off, did the Al Gore thing and grew a beard and shit like that. JFK was taken out by the deep state. RFK tries to get in there. RFK also fucked Marilyn Monroe. Again, there's a bit of a connection here, you may notice. She was investigated as a commie too. Oh, he died too? What a coincidence! Shit, that makes perfect sense. These are all connected together. What we need to do is have full disclosure. But you're probably not going to get much meat on the bones because, again, they've had decades and decades and decades to cleanse the files. That's the whole problem. They've deleted things. They've burned documents. They've misplaced them. Shit, we lost this piece of paper. The really incriminating one, we're not exactly sure where it is. Could be behind a cabinet somewhere. We're not 100% sure. We misfiled it, so you're going to have to go through, 10 million documents in the archives in order to find it. It's going to take you a few years to do that now, isn't it? This is the sort of thing that government does. It covers its tracks. Corruption covers its tracks. If it has any power, any means at all. What does a criminal do? They don't want to get caught. Why do you think that gangbangers have little, the handguns and stuff like that so they can conceal them? And so that they can toss them in the mud when they're done shooting somebody. That's the whole fucking point. It's going to be the same with this. You're going to get some meat on the bones, but it's not going to be a full meal. That's my prediction. That's about all. Peace out.